All right, guys, what's going on? It's been a little while, but we are back temporarily. I wanted to discuss a few things, so I'm going to kind of rifle through this. Sorry for the sound quality. I'm on some AirPods right now because my studio microphone is indisposed at the moment. But um, first, where have I been? So I decided to go ahead and start studying for the CFP designation for my job, and that has taken up all of my spare free time. So I just don't have enough free time to do what's necessary to record videos and edit them and do all that kind of stuff and do the CFP and work and trade and everything else. So I had to give up something. So that was videos, but I am still active, very active in the Discord community here. So I definitely encourage you, if you haven't already, to sign up. You can see I put all my trades right here daily that I'm doing. So if you want to jump in and kind of emulate what I'm doing, it's right here. As soon as I put in a trade, I pop it, copy and paste it right over here. So you can have that. And I've even split out between 0 DTE, 1 DTE, and long-term trades where I'm actually trading a 30-day um, a 30-day trade for those of you who cannot sit in front of a computer all day, or just DTE just won't work for your lifestyle. Doing longer term trades, so you can still build some wealth that way as well. And I made this accessible to the lowest membership level as well. So if you are on the lowest membership, you can get these alerts for the longer dated trades as well. The 0 DTEs are still for the mid tier membership and above, but long term, you get access to these as well. Um, so that's where I've been. That's why I've been recording videos. I anticipate this to last for a couple months longer, probably well into the new year. So I'll try to get out videos sporadically when I, find some lull time at work or something like that, like right now. But don't expect much. Just keeping it real. But you can always find me in the Discord channel. Very active in there because I have that pulled up while I'm training and working and all that kind of stuff. Um, Let me see what else here. My results. So since the last time we talked, I've really refined my process in trading in a couple different key ways. So you can see this is my trade tracker. I went back and updated it to get the results ever since April 21st when I really started hitting my stride with the current batch of money that I have in there. You can see I've really been stuck at the 10-11 contract level for a while I was really trying to fill out how I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, and everything, and deal with when the market comes after me, comes knocking at my door, how I wanted to deal with that. And I've really gotten to a comfort level with that now. So you can see ever since probably mid July, the contracts have started to stack and I've started to compound the income in a specific way. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but you can see my results have started to steadily improve a lot lately, especially towards the end of July and continuing on through today. So we'll talk about the differences and what I've started to do here as well. But you can see these are my trade stats and everything like that all right here. 85% win rate is definitely lower than I want, but this does include the rolls like this right here. If you combine these two trades, this would be one trade that's a win. So it's kind of skewed with the rolls and everything like that, but maybe it's more true to fashion, so you can kind of see when you have to, it factors in when you have to make adjustments and everything like that. So maybe it's a good thing, but you can see the stats right here. Um, 330% annualized yield. Kind of crazy, right? So I like that number, but it's going to get even better than that because of the kind of comfort level and the flow that I've kind of found, I believe anyway. So let's talk about that a little bit in the forecast and where I've kind of settled into. So you can see on the spreadsheet, I started out trading about 11 contracts, $5,500 worth. One key thing that I really want to stress, I didn't used to have this really nailed down, but now I do. You want to trade, or if you're trading my way, you want to keep at least 50% to the side, no more than 50% trading capital for a specific reason. And that reason is because you can juggle trades. If you're less than 25,000, because if you're lower than the FINRA limit or whatever the limit is, um, then you can't you want to let these trades expire so that you're not picking up on your 3 day trades for the week, right? So that's an okey doke. But if you're trading with less than 50%, then you can kind of juggle trades from day to day, back to back, right? So when you have one trade that you know is going to be a winner, for the day, you can actually put on a whole other trade if you want to, and that not interfere. You don't have to close out your winning trade, even if it's at zero. You can just let it ride and still have access to a whole entire another trade if you want to. And that makes a big difference, especially when you factor in something like a 1 DTE, which I'll talk about how I'm integrating that. It makes a huge difference in your profitability overall. Um, so don't trade up to the limit. Don't trade with all of your capital. Number one, it's dangerous. Number two, you won't be able to get out of trouble as easy when it comes to rolls. And this is especially more significant when it comes to rolling a trade. Because let's say a trade does get in trouble, what you can do is you can go ahead and place the roll trade if you want to before you even close out of the existing trade that's in trouble if you want to. Or it just gives you so much flexibility to not have to worry about, my day trades, my this, my that. Gives you a ton of flexibility staying below 50% because you can juggle trades that way. Um, so hopefully I'll clarify that a little bit more as I go into this, but you can see I set my daily profit target at 2%, which is 10% on a five wide, or I'm sorry, 10 cents on a five wide. Um, so you've got that there, and it's good. It's great, right? You trade and plug it along and everything like that. And I did that for a long time. As you saw, I was stuck at about 11 contracts for like 3 months, right? And it takes a while to build till you can add the next contract. When you see a 500 here, or a number in this column, that's a compound. So you can see my contracts go from 11 to 12 right here. So that's a compound. So it takes a little while when you're getting started to get the engine really up and running. But as time goes on, you can see you start compounding faster and faster. Now, you can really juice the engine if you do iron condors because that's going to double your daily income. And that's what I decided to do. So, like here, I was just kind of doing like a spread, a spread, a spread, one spread per day, taking it really easy, kind of easing into things, not really pushing it too much. Then, when you see this four right here, I started to do iron condors. So, and I'm not talking about a blind iron condor either. I'm talking about doing the exact same process, figuring out where I believe the high and the low of the day is, or a reasonable area where the high and the low might be. Popping in a call or a put, depending on which direction the market is, above that high and the low. And one thing that I also layered in there was a 15-point buffer. So when I'm looking at a trade, for example, today, if I'm looking at the market here, let's see where the market is currently right now. So we just had a waterfall down. If I were to place a trade, and I would say, let's say I think this is going to be the low of the day, this 44.83 number. Let's say I was going to do a 0 DTE trade off of this low right here, which is actually a fantastic area if it wasn't so late in the day to place a trade. But let's say I was going to do that. What I would do is I would find where the trade that I want to do is, and let's just say the trade got me down to 44.50. What I want to do in my mind is I want to count 15 points up from that. So that would be 44.60, 44.65. And then mentally, I'm asking myself, do I believe the market is going to touch 44.65? Because that is the point where I want to get out, or at least start considering getting out of the trade, rolling, doing whatever, because that's going to give me enough space to get a roll that's going to provide me with a credit, at the levels that I'm trading at. It's going to give me enough space to give me a roll. It's going to give me a credit. It's going to give me a place where the losses have not mounted too terribly bad. That should put me at the loss amount uh, that I set for my trade, which for this particular trade would be $650. 15 points above, depending on where we are in the day, 15 points above where my strike is should put me in about that loss, maybe less. But it'll give me enough time to make a decision, right? So I'll look at it and I'll say, do I believe that the market is going to get to 44.65? Yes or no? If I believe that it could or is threatening to do so, then I'll hold off on the trade until it gets to the point where I'm pretty comfortable that it probably won't get to 44.65 or within 15 points of whatever my strike is. If I feel like, okay, the market's kind of overdone, it looks like it's, done its thing, it's kind of whatever, reverse, started to reverse, whatever the case may be, then I'll go ahead and place the trade. So that's something a little bit new for me as well. I've settled into a 15-point comfort zone buffer between where I think the market is going to get to and where my strike is going to be. So you got that. I added in a 10% stop loss. This 10% is based on my trading capital. So 10% of my trading capital is what I tend to risk before I get out of the trade, roll, adjust, do whatever I'm going to do. Um, and yeah, so the reason I bumped this from 2% to 4% is to account for the condor, the iron condor, because the iron condor doesn't cost any more as far as trading capital than a spread does. It costs the same thing. You're just playing both sides of the market. But mathematically speaking and dollar wise, I'm collecting 20 cents because I'm collecting 10 cents on each side of the market above and below the market. That's a total of 20 cents. That's a total of a 4% gain. So I'm trying to get that iron condor in each and every day on both sides of the market, depending on where, how the market's going. So like today, um, I would have, if I wasn't already in a trade, I would have seen this right here. And once this started to come back down into range, go ahead and place a call trade up here somewhere. And then here, I would wait for this fall to stop or, reverse or start to reverse or whatever it looked like it's going to start to reverse, make an assessment there. Then I would go ahead and place a put trade down below it somewhere, below that. So that's my version of an iron condor. I don't place blind iron condors. I don't just, especially not if the market is at overbought or oversold. Because if I place the iron condor right here, then my put would already be the market's knocking at the door of my put at this point. So you don't want to do that. You want to wait and get that extra space and then place the put down here, get that extra room. So that's what I do. It's still the same money. I'm still getting the same 20 cents that I would if I was placing a blind iron condor, but I'm significantly lowering my risk of getting touched on each side by deliberately placing my strikes where I place them. Again, saving half of the money that I make that day, popping that into cash, not touching it, and then taking the rest, refueling, putting it back into my trading capital, building that up so that I can compound, right? So what I started to do, what I figured out after a couple of days of doing the iron condors, is I figured out I can even double that number by doing one DTEs. Okay. And here's the magic right here, right? So you see this is 8% now and 40 cents that I'm collecting on the same trading capital, right? 40 cents. So now I've quadrupled my income where before I was getting 2%, now I'm looking at 8%. How do I do that? How does that work, right? So I'm still looking at if I look here, I'm still looking at iron condors, right? Still looking at the same type of trades that I'm doing, except now what I'm doing is a 1 DTE, and I'm looking to the next day, and I'm collecting 20 cents on my trading capital for a call spread and 20 cents on the put spread for the next day. So for me, 20 cents on the same day, that puts me outside of my guidelines as far as how close I want to be to the market to do a same day 20-cent trade and everything like that. May adjust it later, but for right now, not doing it. But for a next day trade, it works so well. For example, if I pull over this and show you the current trade that I have on, um, so if you see, it might be hard to pick up, but if you see this line up here, this price level right here, this is the market's currently at 44.84. Um, the day before, later on in the day, whatever, or midday, what I did is during this kind of price level rise in this area, as this started to fall, I went ahead and picked up this 20-cent call spread right here at this price level, 45.75. Okay, and the market was at 45.13, 14, whatever, something like that. So I was able to get this price level, and that was above the R3 for the next day at the time. So I was asking myself, okay, do I think this is the high of the day? Do I think the market's going to bust through this? Whatever. It didn't seem like it. So I went ahead and placed that trade. And lo and behold, it held where the price level that I got was above the next day's R3. And that's beautiful because to get outside of the R3 levels, that's exactly where you want to be, right? And then as the price came down, maybe during one of these dips or something like that, I was able to get the put trade for the next day on it, another 20 cents. So you can see this price level is below this day's S3, the support three, right, on the pivot points. Again, where you want to be, that's comfort. That's comfortable right there, right? Market hardly ever tests the R3 and the S3 unless the pivot points are very, very narrow, which they are not. This trade was like 145 points wide or something like that, where the market right now generally trades within 30, 40 points of itself. So this is actually very wide ranging day right here. But you can see the low of the day is like 44.80. The high of the day is 45.41. So that's like a 60 something point difference, 60 point range, which is very wide for what the market has been trading. It usually trades 30, 40 points, but I've been comfortable all day. I haven't I just kind of looked at the market, kind of see where it's at, but my trade has been sitting at zero all day. So you can see this trade right here sitting at zero. I don't know if you, let me see if I can spread this out. So yeah, the mark value of the trade zero all day. This is the put side. The market is threatening to the put side right now and still at zero, just sitting there, right? We'd have to go another 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 points to start, even making me look at the market. And it's sitting at 3 o'clock, so we got another hour to go. So it's just not happening, right? We've been at zero all day as far as the profitability of that trade. And then on the call side, oh my God, when the market was threatening up here, we were sitting at maybe like 5 cents at the max on a 20-cent trade. And then, as the market fell off, I mean, you're done. You're worthless, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's just a very comfortable trade versus even a zero DTE trade, the one DTE sometimes. If you can get it right, and get it high enough and get it far out enough, it's a very comfortable trade. So this right here, this is a perfect time. You can see the stochastics were definitely oversold. Looks like we're going into some support areas right here. This would be a perfect time to look at a 1 DTE for the next trading day, except this is a Friday and I'm not comfortable with holding stuff over the weekend yet, even though we don't have that much announcements on Monday. Not that comfortable holding stuff over the weekend yet overall. Um, but if we were going to look at it, you can see um, our S3 is way down here, 43.81. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to get that, on this trade, even though the market is kind of shooting down. It's stabilizing a little bit right now. But if I were to look, 43, the 43.80 area for the next trading day currently, we're only getting 5 cents out of that. So I'd have to go all the way up to 44.10 to get my 20 cents. And that's still respectable. That's down here. So that's market's currently at 44.85. You got 44.10. So that's about what 70, 65 points, 65-point lead for a 20-cent trade. That's pretty good. Really is. If this wasn't a weekend trade, I probably would have already been looking to trade it right now. But I have the buying power to do it because I'm only using 50% of my buying power that's tied up in the existing trades that are at zero. If I was at 100%, then I wouldn't be able to even look at anything, right? But now I can leapfrog this trade, go to the next day's trace, a put spread right where I'm comfortable, get a 65-point lead on the market, have a great margin, and have a great probability of success on the put. On the call side, I saw it as it happened, but I don't want to trade over the weekend. But what I would have done is when this started to roll over, go ahead and grab the call side. The call side, 46, the 46.20s. I looked at it at the time. I probably could have got maybe like a 4600 at the time for 20 cents. And if I look at 4600 right now, I mean it's already gone. It's already decayed to nothing. So that my Monday, unless we had some crazy news or something like that, would have been done already. But and Friday's not even over, right? So it's a very, very comfortable trade. And you since because you can leapfrog, you're not stuck in the day waiting for it to expire, waiting to get your capital back after the market closes and all this kind of stuff. Um, every single day except for Monday, you can do a 40-cent trade, right? You can do a 40-cent trade, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden, you make those revelations. You're going from 2% per day to 8% per day, right? Use it with the same risk profile or very similar, even safer risk profile than zero DTEs, right? So that's what I've been doing as well. And that's really turbocharged the compounding. That's why, I'm stuck at 11, 11, 10, 11, and all of a sudden 12, 13, and about to be 14. My next trade is going to be a 14 contract trade per the spreadsheet because this tells you when to grow your contracts. When your account size reaches X amount, you pop in 14, right? Um, so it really turbocharges things for you, right? So that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been working on. It's been working really, really good. And what I did is I said, I'm going to do this until I reach a certain amount. I'm going to try to do these 1 DTEs, try to get 8% a day until I reach a certain amount. Okay. Because I don't want to do it forever. And I want to start taking less and less risk as I go along. So I got down, I said, I'm going to get to about, hopefully, knock on wood, 50 something thousand dollars, up from 15, at least $25,000 so I can get out of the, the day trade zone or whatever, at least that. But I really want to get to $50,000 using this 8% number, trying to get that every day. Um, and then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to calm this back down to a 4% expectation, which is basically your standard zero DTE iron condor situation, or just one-sided 20 center or whatever. And then I'm going to close these out at the end of the day, and then I'm gonna take take some money and then do that theta fairy trade, which is basically looking at the futures and doing an overnight futures trade and collecting a little bit more on that and kind of see how that and start working on that, right? Take about, 10, 12, $15,000, something like that, do the overnight futures, something like that, or even switch over to the futures totally, whatever. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I have to look and research it, but that's my plan, right? To start doing my regular trades, calm that down a little bit, and then spread out my risk to the overnight futures to get a little bit more premium out of that, and then take it from there. Now, my long-term plan, once I get up to the six figures, probably 150, maybe 200, something like that, is to switch over to a dividend to take my proceeds from here, my daily proceeds from this, stop growing the account here, and then start adding buying dividend funds to make the income passive instead of active. This is definitely active income, but I want to make it passive. So I'm going to start converting this and taking these proceeds, move it over to different dividend producing funds and build that particular portfolio using this. But first, I'm going to pay off some debt, actually. So I'm going to take this, pay off, whatever debt that I have, clean that up, then start moving this into a dividend fund, which I'll talk about here in a second. But one thing I wanted to point out, there's about 103, 102 trading days left in the year. If I follow this plan, then I will have gone, and this is obviously it's not perfect because some days there'll be rolls, some days the market's going to catch up with me and blow me up, stuff like that, and I'll take a loss. But if I were to execute this flawlessly, then you're talking about going from 15,000 to 137,000 by December 31st of this year, 2023, because of this growth spurt right here, right? Without this growth spurt, I think it was 87,000 if I executed flawlessly, but because of this growth spurt, it goes from 87 to 137,000. So I like to think half realistically. So my realistic goal is about half of this, right? Um, but it's nice to know that if things go all my way, I could be as much as this right here. And this is a life-changing thing, right? Before the end of the year, by the time it's cold outside. That's just crazy to think about, right? But anyway, that's my plan, and you can see the compounding levels right here. Just compound, compound, add contracts, and this is going to be another conversation as I get up in contracts. I know that you can put a lot of contracts on, especially in the SPX, but I don't want it to be too unwieldy, where it takes a long time for these to get filled. So what I'm doing is I'm widening out the spread width at certain thresholds, which I have right here. So I say I don't want to trade more than 50 contracts at a time. And eventually I'm going to go away from spreads to nakeds at some point. Um, so I'm going to widen out the spread width. So you see right here, this is a 10 wide, 15 wide, stuff like that. So the spread width is going to widen to keep me under 50 contracts for right now, until I see something different. And it's just going to keep widening out until I get to until I get to the area where it's just more comfortable to do naked spreads, or not naked spreads, but naked options, sell naked options or whatever, strangles and all that. All right, so that's that. And at some point as well, I'm probably still going to be doing zero DTEs even as I get up to the higher numbers. That's fine. But I do want to have a portfolio of dividends where it's completely passive. I don't have to worry about it. It just sits there and earns dividends and reinvests and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's that. Now, as far as that particular plan, what I'm going to be buying, I'm going to be buying a combination of these which I'm so happy this came on the scene recently. And I'll talk about these in a combination of um, Cornerstone funds. And I got this from actually from another YouTuber who's got a decent sized portfolio, and that's all he talks about basically is Cornerstone funds. They pay about a 17% yield, and they've been out for a very long time. And there's a certain way that you play them, and the Cornerstone funds are very unique. See if I can pull one up. CLM, work. Okay, CLM. So if you look down here, you can see the Cornerstone. This particular, there's two of them. There's CLM and CRF, but this one pays a 17% annual dividend yield. Been around for a very long time. It's Morningstar rated. It's very diversified as far as the funds that they hold. Very good track record. It beat the S&P and everything, even with this high yield. And the key thing about this particular fund is when you drip the funds, when you reinvest the dividends through your broker, um, they reinvest at the NAV price, which is lower than the trading price. So this, I don't know if they show the NAV on here, um, but basically the NAV of this fund is like $6, something like that, and it's currently trading for $8. So every time it pays out a dividend at that 17% rate, whatever that payment is, they go back and buy more of this particular fund at say $6, 6.50, whatever the NAV is, instead of $8. That means you get more shares for the money than you otherwise would. So this dividend, 17%, is even higher, whatever that math is, if you drip it, if you reinvest those dividends back into the fund itself. So it goes from 17% to say 25% or whatever the 30%, whatever the math is. I don't know off the top of my head. Um, Annually. And if you want to, you could probably sell covered calls against it. I don't know. But I know it offers options, but that's a crazy deal, right? So if you drip it and you buy more of it using your options money, I mean, you're going to stack, stack, stack very, very fast. You're going to compound very, very fast, right? So that's going to be the cornerstone of my new portfolio once I get to that point. Then I'm going to layer in these particular funds from this company, Yield Max. The reason I'm going to do this is because this is one of the first funds that I see that exclusively does options trading, and they do covered calls, right? And they use great companies for covered calls because they're very, uh, obviously very uh, they go up and down a lot. You know what I'm trying to say. I can't think of the word, but um, they have great options activity, and they're doing basically synthetic covered calls. And I dug into the nitty gritty of these particular funds. I looked at exactly what the holdings are, what options that they have, what's the expiration dates, replicated that on my Thinkorswim myself to see if I could replicate the numbers. And yes, what they're showing is exactly, if you were to do it yourself, you would get the same results, which you can do it yourself if you want to, but they're going to do it for you, which is like crazy. Like I don't have to worry about going in there, setting up a cover call every week, renewing the stuff and chasing after it and all that kind of stuff. They'll just do it for you, and there's the results, right? So, and the way that they have their setup, like I specifically looked at Tesla, right? So this is their Tesla version of cover call. So what they do is they don't go and buy Tesla. They go and set up a synthetic covered call. So you can see here, a synthetic covered call is basically buying the calls and selling the same put at the same strike, same expiration, and everything like that. So if you look in here, you can see that they have 16,000 Tesla calls that expire September 2023 at 265. And then they went in and sold 16,495 Tesla puts 265 for the same expiration. That gives you a synthetic stock position. So you get the same profile of gain, loss as if you own the stock itself. So you still have downside exposure and everything like that, just like if you bought Tesla shares, but it's a much more uh, uh, cost efficient way to own Tesla to get the same kind of up down results as if it doesn't cost as much as if you had whatever, how many shares this is. Wouldn't that be I don't know, hundreds, like 1.6 million shares of Tesla, whatever the math is, 160,000, I don't know. But if you had that much Tesla, it would cost you, I think this is a 30%, or I'm sorry, 60% less cost um, to do it this way than to actually own the shares. And then they have treasuries, United States treasuries, to make up the rest of, the fund for the margin, everything like that. So you have this right here that's also kicking out, whatever it's kicking out, whatever percentage. And then you go in and sell covered calls. So here's the covered calls that they sold against it. So you can see that they're giving themselves, like $5, $10, $7 worth of growth room to grow within Tesla itself. And right now Tesla's trading at 254, right? Um, so where'd it go? So it's trading at 254. So if Tesla were to run up, and this expires August of 2023. So I think this is the monthly. So it's the third Thursday, and we're in the first week of August right now. So looks like these are monthly options that they're doing. Maybe, I don't know. Well, this one is August. This one expires today. 272. I think this is probably going to be the monthly one because it doesn't specify the day. So they're giving themselves some room to grow actually with the appreciation of Tesla if it does appreciate and getting these covered calls. Um, so this has the potential to really work well in a steadily climbing market, um, and in a falling market, um, really preserve a lot of its value. It's still going to drop, but it's not going to drop as hard as Tesla's going to drop because you have, your covered call position giving you a little bit of cushion every month, every week, whatever it is. So I went and actually replicated these exact trades in Thinkorswim just to kind of see what the profile looked like, see what kind of returns it would give, annualize it, and everything like that. And it looked exactly like what they've been given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest in all these, all the ones that they have, and just hit the drip button and then take out what I need to take out if I need to take out everything. They've got plenty and they've got more coming. This one Amazon just launched. I think I think these just launched too. I'm not totally sure. But they're pretty sure they're going to have even more than these. And these can be your covered call positions instead of just relying on like the 3% dividends, all that kind of stuff. Covered calls are way better, way more efficient at providing, income off of stocks. They're just time intensive, right? So if this guy is going to do it for me, heck yeah, give it to me, baby, right? So I intend to go ahead and swap over to this plus the cornerstone funds, maybe add some other stuff in there just to balance out things, to protect against black swan stuff or whatever. But this can make a great portfolio over time to live off of, right? Because at these rates, you don't need anywhere near as much money to live off of. So let's take maybe like the lowest one that they've got, um, say 30% distribution on Apply right here, about 3.5% per month. If we look at our calculator and we say, let's say we want to live off $100,000 per year, right? Um, how much Apply would we need to be able to do that if we can maintain something close to that? We'll even give them, let's say 20%, right? So what you do is you divide your $100,000, divide that by 0.2, and you only need $500,000 to live off of aptly, or that rate to make $100,000 a year, right? You're not that far away. Let's say 30%, right? $100,000. What do we need if we were getting 30%? You only need $333,000, right? And I know there's a lot of you that have close to that, maybe in your 401k right now. You might have $200,000, so you're not that far away from being able to do something like that. And then, Tesla, let's see, 60%, right? $100,000. Oops, blew that up, didn't I? $100,000 divided by 0.6, 60%. You only need $166,000 if you were to load up on Tesla to generate $100,000 a year to live off of that, if you wanted to do that. We don't suggest it, just saying, mathematically speaking, you don't need millions of dollars to be able to live pretty well if you can do covered calls, right? And covered calls are definitely the most conservative way to do options, absolutely. So, get a couple of these funds, uh, in a portfolio. You buy them, you buy them, you buy them, you load up, you load up, you load up, you let it reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. All of a sudden, you got a massive portfolio spitting out a ton of income every month, and he's paid monthly, right? Um, so that's my ultimate plan, to do that. And then I'll still keep a corner of the portfolio myself to do my zero DTEs, to do, whatever I'm going to do. Um, and maybe monthly options, whatever, because that rate is still way better than even the cover calls. Because if you look at this, the 30-day, even if you look at the highest one, Tesla, right? 30-day yield of 3.9% per month, and I can get that in a day, you know? So, I could do that right here in a day with zero DTEs and one DTEs and all that kind of stuff, right? So I can blow these funds out of the water. But the risk, right? This is obviously way more risky, but still the return is crazy. So, um, basically what I'm saying is, as the portfolio grows overall, I'm going to de-risk it down to these levels right here and take it from there, man, and start taking it easy, right? That's my exit plan. That's my get out of jail exit plan. Now personally, I've got some bonuses from work coming up that is going to help me personally accelerate my plan. That I'm going to probably add, some money to my personal portfolio to fluff up these numbers and kind of skip levels and all that kind of stuff. But if I wasn't, those bonuses are still a long time away. So I might even beat. Who knows where I'll be by the time those bonuses hit and everything like that. But like I said, first get out of debt, use this money to pay off whatever debts that I have, get everything to zero, then start buying that dividend stuff, and then live the easy life, man. That's the plan. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'll come back if anything changes, but y'all sign up for the Discord. This is the place to be if you want to get like me and be on the same type of path that I'm on. Um, and talk in here, man. Y'all don't talk. I don't know why all the other Discord channels people talk, but in mine, y'all don't want to talk. Y'all just want to see the trades. I don't know. But come on in here, sign up, uh, get your subscription. Like I said, this one is going to open you up to the monthly trades now. So you can see the monthly trades at least. Even if you do this one, you get a 1 week free trial. But the rest of these, $25 are going to get you the zero DTEs and the one DTEs and the real growth factor. And then if you want one-on-one coaching, I probably don't have as many slots open as I used to because of the CFP. But if you want one-on-one, that's still open to you as well. But this right here is going to get you the spreadsheet. It's going to get you the zero DTE trade alerts and everything like that. This is the really good one right here. So sign up. All right. Out.